Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher, and I'm finally glad to bring to you the Holy Priest. The one, the only, and this is going to sound really strange, the ultimate, the absolute ultimate healer that when it comes to actually healing people. That sounds really odd, I know, but it is. It doesn't work in any silly gimmicks, any absorption. This is the one true healer that stems from vanilla, that comes through all this history, this legacy, and all it does is put out raw HPS, and that's what it's all about. If you rolled a healer because you actually wanted to heal the injured, heal the wounded, and just absolutely be a gangster about it, the Holy Priest is the way to go. And it's had so long to develop and to grow and to be modified and tweaked, and generally had just little fun bits slapped onto it like a big piece of clay, turning it into this golden statue, man. Absolutely fantastic. I really adore it. I hope you try it out because you can just have fun with it, and fuck, leap of faith, right? What the hell? So we're going to do our guide today. We're going to look at how you roll with it, how you use your chakras. We're going to look at your gearing and gemming and your glyphing overall. But more importantly, we're going to show you how to play this class. And then we're going to show you a gameplay video of all that in action where we'll give you a little talk about it. So first and foremost, your talents, okay? So your basic level 15s are just CC. Don't even worry about it. At level 30, you do get some control over movement speed. Now, I'm rocking Body and Soul at the moment because I find it generally more convenient. However, for you guys, I'd really recommend Angelic Feather. Okay, Angelic Feather is much better for Holy because Power Word Shield is not great for us as a Holy Priest. And if you are in a raid like a 25 man and there's a Disc Priest in there, you actually don't want to be casting Power Word Shield on yourself because you're actually going to cause more problems than you're solving. So Angelic Feather actually comes in very, very nicely for Holy. I'm going to be switching this back to Dis pretty quickly, which is sad to say. I find Dis just to be a slightly more dominant and more interesting in the fact that I can DPS with it as well. More usefully than I can with Holy. Not that you can't DPS with Holy. Level 45, this is going to come down to how comfortable you are on your priest, alright? So, Mindbender is brilliant if you're just getting to grips with your priest and you're still kind of worried about mana. Mana has more difficulty than discipline for the priests in general. And that's a recent quote by Ghostcrawler actually said that Holy had it right. Its mana management is correct as Holy. It's just that Dis has an easier time anyway, and that's a design flaw. Dis is a little bit too easy. So if you are getting into Holy and you're not quite convinced on your mana efficiency, you're not using quite the right efficient spells, you've got a couple of bad habits to work out, then Mindbender actually works out really nicely. That 1 minute cooldown, guaranteeing that you're getting this influx of mana very regularly, keeps it nice and stable. However, From Darkness Comes Light, once you get more comfortable, is fantastic. It's so cool. A lot of times I do not promote the idea of these procs while you're healing, because when you're healing and shit goes down, you need that healing to be there and ready to go. You want the result to happen right then and there, because that aspect of a fight is very unpredictable. When things start going wrong, you need quick access to them. This is a proc, but it does proc a hell of a lot. I know it says it has a 15% chance, but that is actually very, very cool. A 50% chance is actually very cool. On every healing spell, we have a lot of instant cast that we're going to be throwing around pretty regularly. We're going to be doing a lot with those spells. And as such, this actually procs so goddamn often. Obviously, it's not going to proc when I actually want it to, but that is just the way it is when I do these guides. You can't really help it. Those free flash heals come out to be extremely powerful, especially when you're mixing it with your Chakra Serenity, which is refreshing renews on the raid, spot healing those guys who just take that little influx of damage, and you can just bang, flash heal right there. It's cost you no mana, and it can start healing for absolutely tons. Expect to see, you know, 200k plus flash heals for free dropping on people. Very nice, and great for a tank as well. Level 60, Desperate Prayer is very, very cool. Gotta be said, Desperate Prayer is very, very cool. 30% instant heal. I still prefer Angelic Bulwark for the content I provide for you guys. I do a lot of LFR for my guides. Simple as that. It's very easy for me to jump in on any class and any spec and sort of get some footage and talk about things. Therefore, I'm actually more wary of other people than myself. I'm very wary of other people causing me problems, so Angelic Bulwark works very nicely for what I do. Decide what content you're doing. Do you want that instant heal on yourself that you can on demand press the button and you generally save your own life? Or do you want Angelic Bulwark where you're not quite sure if something's going to kill you, but if it's a risk that something's going to happen, then you'll get this passive shield protecting you from death, pretty much. It's very nice. Level 75. You know what's sad that it's considered the weakest is Power Infusion? I just don't agree with that, man. Power Infusion, on demand, massive amount of spell haste. It's just so cool for firing out huge amounts of heals. And you get that mana cost reduction of 20%. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, look, guys, Power Infusion is great. It's absolutely great. Until you're very, very high geared and you can actually cope with a lot of things like manners, just no issue, and so on and so forth. Power Infusion should be on your list of things to, but at least be taking if you're worried about dangerous situations. Because like I said earlier, when that situation comes up, Power Infusion is there to make sure you can handle that situation. Divine Insight is brilliant if you are going to be using a lot of Great Heal or Prayer of Healing. You'll tend to find a lot of this in 25-man, where you tend to be sort of pigeonholed into this big AoE healer, and therefore you're doing a lot of Prayer of Healing. Then you get this massive amounts of power that comes from your Prayer of Mending. It's so fucking cool. There's no doubt about it. It doesn't trigger its cooldown, jumps to each target instantly. It's just a huge AoE heal that goes along with it. I find that is the only purpose. The proc that you get from Greater Heal, if you're doing single target, I find it far less useful. I've been trying out all three. I find this far less useful. As you do get higher up in the stakes, though, your Twist of Fate is going to easily be the one you're going to take, in my opinion. Of course, you're damaging or healing a target below 35% health. That happens a hell of a lot in all raids. You deal 15% extra healing. If you're wise about things or you're using some sort of macro for your Holy Fire, remember your Holy Fire is... If you watch, I'm not selecting anything. I just press my Holy Fire. It'll find me a target, and then it will Holy Fire it, and I can just carry on doing whatever I want to do. That is brilliant, especially for adds that are roaming around. Nearly every fight in Siege of Orgrimmar has adds in some form. It's just a passive 15% healing bonus, which is just a lot, because your healing numbers get a little bit crazy. In fact, you'll start over-healing like a motherfucker. Level 90... Divine Star or Cascade. I never recommend Halo for healing. I've just not found that point where it is useful. So, gotta say, if people are spread out, I'm rocking Cascade. If people are relatively close, I'm gonna rock the Divine Star. Halo just does not get a look in for me, which is pretty sad. I certainly don't like the idea of, say, if we're all stood in a big group, like here, let's say this is an entire raid, and I want to benefit from Halo, that I might have to sort of move out, then cast my Halo, then come back in. No, I don't want that. If we're all grouped up like this, I want to be firing Divine Stars through everybody like fucking Indiana Jones. If we're all spread out, I just want to fire off my Cascade and let it do its job. The brilliant thing about this, though, is if you are, again, in Chakra Serenity, this is going to refresh Renew on all the targets, which means you can have a ton of Renews running, and then use a Cascade or a Divine Star, refresh all those Renews. That is absolutely millions of extra healing added up over a course of a fight, okay? It's fucking crackers. So bear in mind that your level 90 talents, if you are in this lovely Chakra, will refresh your Renews as a Holy Priest. Glyphs. A lot of choice here, actually, depending on what you're doing. A lot of the Holy Priest stuff, guys, comes down to, are you doing 10, 25 man? What does this encounter need? How are the raid grouped? There's like 5 or 6 different ways of playing a Holy Priest, right? So that actually plays into its favor, because a good Holy Priest is going to adapt his character in order to meet those situations. Not many healers can actually say they can do that. One of the wonderful things about the Holy Priest. As again, I do a lot of LFR for you guys, so Glyph of Circle of Healing comes in very handy. Do tend to get pigeonholed into AoE spam everybody who's stood in the fucking Desecrate or God knows what else they're stood in, and they're all taking damage and standing there like, I'll just get fucking healed, man, no big deal. Your Circle of Healing, especially when you're in a Track Your Sanctuary, your wonderful blue one, actually it becomes super efficient. And therefore, you get this extra Circle of Healing additional target. So if you are healing a lot of people on a regular basis, Glyph of Circle of Healing, absolutely fantastic. Glyph of Prayer of Mending, I kind of always recommend this for any priest. I really do. If I'm firing off a Prayer of Mending, it's almost very rare I'm not firing it at the tank, because I guarantee he's going to be hit very quickly between the cooldowns of Prayer of Mending, and then it's going to fire off to other people who might need it. But definitely the tank is going to benefit from that Prayer of Mending. As such, that 60% extra healing, love it. Absolutely fucking love that 60% extra healing that given to the tank, who's more than likely going to make benefit of that. I also love the Glyph of Inner Sanctum. If you're not getting meleeed, unless something's gone very, very wrong, which means all the damage you are taking as a healer is going to be spell damage pretty much. And one thing we do not want as a healer is to be looking after ourselves too much. We're there to look after the raid. The least amount of damage we can take as a healer means it allows us to focus more on the raid. Glyph of Inner Sanctum, just passive 6%. We're more than likely going to be rolling with Inner Fire. Inner Will certainly has its place when we're doing a lot of instant cast work, but certainly getting the benefit of that, just fucking fantastic. We've got to give a shout out to Glyph of Fade. 10% reduced damage taken. Fuck me, that's great. Fade is such a short cooldown. What, 30 seconds, 10% reduced damage? Wow. Fucking crackers. Absolutely love that thing. So if you are in a fight where you are getting hit, smashed, literally butt-fucked right in the face, then yeah, think about taking Fade and just, again, looking after yourself better so you can look after other people. Can't argue with that. I've got to mention it, but remember that you're light well. Your light well now is by default something that's going to tick and activate around the targets without them having to click it. Why you would want this, I don't know. Maybe in 10-man you could convince people that are going to click it, but traditionally no one ever clicks the fucking light well, so just be aware that the glyph is there if you do have some sort of bizarre, excellent fucking raid that will do that kind of stuff for you. A couple of other choices that you can take in there. There's always the stuff like Glyph and Master Spell. Have a look at a little pick and choose, but these are your main ones, okay? The one thing I do want to talk about is Glyph of Renew. I keep going on about this Sanctuary Chakra Serenity. Renew heals for 33% more each time it heals, okay? So as I said earlier, you're going to be refreshing Renew with your single target heal. So you can see me Renew on myself there. If I use a single target heal, it gets refreshed, and I can keep this on all the time. There's that From Darkness Comes Light proc. All that kind of stuff happening. My Renew is constantly going to be ticking. Therefore, that reduction of 3 seconds ain't no big deal, because I'm actually refreshing it all the goddamn time, okay? So I don't actually have to suffer too much with that. Just be aware if you're throwing renews on a lot of raid members, maybe you want to think about it because you're going to be missing out on refreshes while casting other spells. But if you're keeping, especially if you're single target focused, and you're doing a lot of 10-man again, 33% extra healing on renew, it adds up, man. It adds up really goddamn fast. Your gearing and gemming. Simple stuff, really. Spirit, primary, okay? But be aware of any Reforge add-on. I think if I actually fly down here and show you this, Reforge add-ons are actually going to be very much pushing you to like 100% spirit. Now, that's not always the best. Like I say, Holy does have some mana issues on occasion, depending on your gear level. But yeah, it's got no cap if you're using something like Reforge Light, which is a wonderful add-on. I love it. And if you select something like Holy, it's actually got very low values of haste. This is just looking for extra ticks and whatnot. It's still going to be putting as much spirit as humanly possible. It's going to get your haste cap and go for as much spirit as humanly possible. The problem with that is you can actually get to a situation where you're not running out of mana. And if you're not running out of mana, then you've got too much spirit. And you can afford to invest in harder hitting spells, okay? So you want more healing, or you want more mastery, or you want more critical strike chance. Your secondary stat, after you've got enough spirit, whether you're going for more mastery or more crit, again depends on the content you're doing. It really, really does. If you're doing a lot of AoE healing, 25-man style, you're certainly going to be looking to get more mastery, okay? You're going to be taking the benefit of much more mastery and taking the benefit of the wonderful Echo of Light, which will just keep ticking and giving people extra hots. Again, that idea of pure HPS coming out of the priest. But if you're 10-man, and especially if you're dropping healers more and more, you're actually going to see a bigger benefit from taking critical strike chance, okay? Getting more crit. You actually get a lovely passive amount of crit from your power word. Holy Word Serenity. Critical effect from heals increased by 25%. But when you're firing off all the other spells and you've got your renews ticking and all that, the extra critical strike chance is going to come in very handy for just giving big, solid HPS. Remember, we are an HPS beast. So decide what content you're doing. If you're doing 10-man, you're going to see a little bit more benefit from critical strike chance. If not, you're going to get more benefit from mastering a 25-man, where you tend to be more AoE healing and then healing another group. So you're going to be doing all that kind of stuff. So just bear in mind, get as much spirit as possible, then decide if you want to go crit or mastery. Don't worry too much about your haste, guys. The haste values that are relevant to a priest are really low, like you just saw, like 4,000. If you're doing Siege of Orgrimmar LFR, you've easily hit the haste cap. Don't even worry about it. It's no big deal. How do we play? Well, it depends on our chakra states. We've also got the 3 chakra states. We've got our wonderful chakra chastise, which is actually wonderful, okay? You can actually do so much damage, and it costs you piss all mana. Look at my mana bar. Not even moving. Not even moving. So it's even on this character, it's like 46k. It's no big fucking deal. It really isn't. And you can put out nice damage. You can put your Shadow Word Pain up. You could be a certain contributor, and it costs you absolutely piss all mana. Wonderful little chakra state to be in. So bear in mind that is your damage dealing. It does not do healing like Discipline does. There's no atonement or anything like that. That's not going to happen for you, okay? You're not putting out any healing whatsoever. But what you can do is you can proc your From Darkness Comes Lights proc. See? Oh, thank you, From Darkness Comes Light, for actually proving my point. You will proc From Darkness Comes Light, so if you want to drop out some big flash heals on people, do know that From Darkness Comes Light is actually procking off itself. I got 3 in a row there. Big flash heals. Really awesome. But more than likely, you're going to be spending most of your time in either Chakra Serenity or Chakra Sanctuary. Again, 10-man tends to stay forever in Chakra Serenity because you're putting out a lot of renews and you're using a lot of single target heals and cascades and divine stars to refresh those renews while putting out big single target spot healing on the people that need it. While you're in Chakra Serenity, you're obviously going to keep renew on the tank. Let me get to comment. I'll show you my Tell Me Whens. These are my Tell Me Whens, okay? So we've got Lightwell, obviously. We want to get our Lightwell on the go. my cascade, my circle of healing, my prayer of mending, my power word. This graphic will change depending on you tell me when. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. Shadow Fiend, you're obviously Void Shift, which is just an amazing cooldown, and your Guardian Angel. Excuse me. So what you're going to find is when you're in this single target state is keep your renew ticking, use your power word on cooldown and your prayer of mending. While you're in Chakra Serenity, Circle of Healing becomes very, very inefficient. You've got to be aware that it actually very quickly starts to take big chunks out of your mana, and more than likely, guys, you'll be able to more than out-heal that and be more efficient by using a lot of renews and a lot of prayer amendings and a lot of power words, and then using those free flash heals from Darkness Comes Light to actually refresh those renews. And you'd be surprised how much AoE healing you could put out without using the sort of easy mode go-to spell, which is Circle of Healing. It becomes massively inefficient in order to keep AoE heal using that spell. If we are in a 25-man, oh, by the way, you are going to be filling with things like heal and greater heal as needed. Flash heal is there for emergencies. I always want to give a shout out to Binding Heal. Binding Heal is just an absolutely fantastic spell. Healing yourself and another person at exactly the same time is just incredible. Please have it keybind and please get used to the idea of using it. I often see people, oh, I've taken damage. I better cast a great heal on myself while somebody else dies. Instead of just looking at him and going, oh, I can Binding Heal this. And it can actually just drop some 200k heals on both of us and actually be fine and fucking dandy about it. If we are in the other chakra state, which is our Chakra Sanctuary, this spell is pretty shit. Which is a crying fucking shame because it looks absolutely tremendous, doesn't it? Doesn't it look good? It's fucking bollocks. It's a crappy 2,500. What the fuck? It's such a shitty fucking spell. It's a pity because it costs us nothing, really. It doesn't really cost us anything. You can throw it down if you want some shits and giggles, I suppose, because it does look fantastic. But bear in mind, it's pretty crap. When we're in this Chakra Serenity, Chakra Sanctuary, sorry, you are going to be using still a lot of Renews. Renews is an incredible spell. Do not underestimate the value of Renew. It's relatively cheap. You can throw it on a lot of people. It's going to work. But unlike while we were in Chakra Serenity, our Circle of Healing now becomes one of our top priorities because it's now super, super efficient. As long as it's actually AoE healing, right? If you're healing a tank with Circle of Healing, you're done goofed. It's an AoE healing spell. Don't be doing that. You should be in a different chakra anyway. But if you are healing lots of people in a 25-man, Circle of Healing is fantastic. You're going to see regular like 150k, 200k Circle of Healings on demand, and they're super cheap. Really fantastic. If you're a little bit worried about your mana, don't forget that you can switch over to your Inner Will. Reduces the mana cost of your instant cast spells by 15%. So bear that in mind, as that's what that's going to do. For slightly weaker, you can get away with slightly less mana usage, alright? Slightly weaker spells, slightly less mana usage. So there's a trade-off, as always in this game, there's got to be a trade-off, but you can put a load of things in there. But of course, in this mode, you're going to be doing Circle of Healing. You're going to be using your Prayer of Mending on cooldown again. Prayer of Mending. Don't worry too much about your power word because you're going to be using a lot of Prayer of Healing in there as well. Okay, your Prayer of Healing is going to be fantastic. You're going to proc this, Divine Insight, which is amazing if you're doing a lot of AoE healing, okay? So those are the two styles of play. I'm going to show you a gameplay video now of me doing all that kind of stuff. Thanks for sticking with me. I'll see you again, guys. Bye.